Good morning and welcome to the show. This is In Touch, and I am Beth, Christy, your hostess. In Touch is our weekly half-hour public affairs show. If you're a member of a nonprofit group or organization, if you are a company or business here in the Hudson Valley that's helping out a nonprofit, we'd love to have you on the program. Talk about the issues that are of concern to you here in the Hudson Valley, and I'll give you all the contact information at the end of the show. So let me turn on microphones. Let me first say this is pre-recorded. Let me also say that whatever station you're listening to this morning, if you go to their website, you'll be able to hear this show on demand. And also in the article of which the show will be embedded in, you'll find links to some of the items and events that we're talking about today. We have Walter Joseph, who is the executive director of the Children's Home of Poughkeepsie. He is back. Hi, Walt. Very nice to see you.
Nice to see you again.
It's very cool that you're here. Erin is back. I didn't scare her away, which is good. Survived. She's like, okay, I guess I'll come back. Erin Capparelli is here. She is a development associate at the Children's Home of Poughkeepsie. Erin, thank you for being willing to come back.
Thanks for having us again, Beth.
It always makes me nervous. You know, you have someone in for the first time. You're like, okay, did it go okay? Are they coming back? I don't know. So the Children's Home of Poughkeepsie, of course, is a program, for lack of a better word, and my brain is leaving me right now, that is tremendous to this community and has been on the show many times. And there's a reason why you guys have been on the show many times. It's because of the work that you're doing, how you constantly are looking forward to seeing what is needed. What are the changes in our society? What are the changes governmentally that are going to impact the children in the community in which we serve? It's amazing. It's what, 168 years. So nobody is hanging around, no organization, unless you continually do that. And that's why you guys are so great in the community. And it's great to have you on the program today because we're going to talk about, as always, there's an awful lot going on. So Walt, as we just started 168 years, let's kind of get us up to speed with how things have been going. You guys were last year, I think we said February, March.
Yeah, February, late winter we were here. Yeah, and at that point we were in the process of expanding our emergency program.
Right.
We started that now about 12 years ago, and in response to a need in the community, and that program started with 6 beds and grew to 10 beds, and then 12, 16, 18. We went to 24 beds a couple of years ago, and we just did another expansion. So now we have 33 beds devoted to the emergency program. And that program, it does really 2 things. We work with Child Protective Services now in about 5 counties. Originally, it was Dutchess County only, but now we are doing some support work for Ulster, Orange, Putnam, and we've had some kids from Columbia come to us. So we've expanded our catchment area, if you want to think of it like that. So when children are removed from their families because they're at risk,
right,
they will probably come to the Children's Home. And then the other thing the program does is diagnostic assessments, and that's a situation where a county might refer a child to us because they're trying to figure out exactly what to do with that youngster. What's the child presenting issues and what's a good plan for them. And it's not necessarily to go into a residential program. It may be that we would help the county pinpoint exactly what's going on with that child and the family and help them make a plan as to how to address that. So we've been doing more diagnostic assessments, part of the reasons that we have expanded the program.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and they take between 30 and 60 days, so it's kind of a lengthy process.
Yeah, because last time we hadn't really mentioned that. I remember the expansion program. In fact, I think I remember the very first time that you talked about it on this show, that there was the need for it and to see how it would go. And unfortunately, you've had to expand it because, as you mentioned, these are children that are removed on an emergency basis.
Right. And we are seeing a lot of young kids. I'm just back from a 2-week vacation, but just before I left, we had 7 infants under 1 year of age there. Oh. And we've had some newborns, 2-day-old babies. And this is a typical situation where mom is test positive for some drugs, and the babies are removed right in the hospital. So we've had babies really going through withdrawal at our program. We have a nursery that will hold 5, but we've also got 3 other rooms in one of the cottages that we use for the emergency program that we put very young babies in because they cannot be mixed in with another group because of their new immune systems not fully formed. We have to be a lot more careful in regard to disease issues.
And plus, they've been removed, and they may have been born addicted to the same drugs as well, and have had some things go on at the hospital as well to get the babies, because it's been flowing through their system as well.
Exactly. So you're getting an infant who may be born with heroin in their system, which is now, I think, the prevalent drug that is being abused. It seems to be heroin.
Yep.
Driving a lot of stuff in social services.
Yep. And that's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that lightly.
Yeah.
It is heartbreaking to see what it does to families and what it does to children and what it does. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it is. So, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, this is why the Children's Home of Poughkeepsie is here so often, because of the work that you are doing, because you're looking at what's really going on, what's really happening in society, what our children today need help with.
Yeah, and I mean, it's so fluid a situation. I wasn't going to mention this, but I will. We started a program for unaccompanied minors about 14 months ago. This was the federal government reached out. Everybody saw those photos of these youngsters coming in from Central America who were arriving in droves in the United States. The federal government put out a request for programs to develop beds in an expedited fashion, which we did. Now that problem seems to be reduced. So the number of youngsters coming across the border has been reduced, and it's been reduced because of efforts of the United States and also Mexico, which has done some work to close their southern border, plus a few other things. So that program is actually going to be ending for us at the end of September. We'll not carry that on past October 1st because there isn't a need.
Gotcha.
And so we're trying to move some staff around and figure out what we're going to do with it. We rented a facility, but we'll be released from our lease on that facility in November, and we're looking for the next challenge. And the next challenge seems to be youngsters, mostly girls, who have been trafficked. In other words, girls who have been lured into prostitution in some way, shape, or form. Often, kids who are in the foster care system, but other children who are not in the foster care system who have been identified as trafficked. And we're part of the task force that's working now in Dutchess County, which has been very actively working on this issue. Dr. Crenshaw and Lori Stella, one of our social workers, has been very active in that. And we are looking at whether we want to develop some residential options for that population. There are very few beds for these youngsters, only 14 beds on the social service side for trafficked children in the state of New York. And they are all being operated by an agency in the city, in Westchester actually, and they're all under contract to New York City. So there really is no bed availability for these young women upstate, very little actually downstate as well. But it's another emerging issue. Been identified by the federal government, and who has been providing money to counties to put task forces together to look at this. Ulster County just formed their task force.
I was going to say, I thought I just read something. That must be what it was that I just read.
Because it has emerged as a major problem. I think it's one of those things that's always kind of been around, but not identified. And the typical story is a young woman or a young male who runs away from home and may arrive at the Port Authority terminal in New York City, and people are waiting for them to offer them a place to stay and tell them how they can make some money and pull them into that life.
Right.
So it's
and it's all heartbreaking.
It's very heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking. There's a life that's there, and there's talents that there, and to have all of that happen to, the babies that are born addicted, as well as the moms who need help because of what they are addicted to. I mean, it's just it just breaks your heart that there are lives that seem like they're stopped.
Yeah, and I think in a lot of, I've said this on the show before, it's interesting in Dutchess County, which is a rich county with lots of, educated people, that you have these social issues going on that a lot of people are just not aware of. And you don't think it can't happen here. It can't happen here. It is happening.
It is happening. That's the one, again, the Children's Home, you guys are not burying your head in the sand and going, oh, this isn't happening here. You're looking at what really is needed, what really has to happen. Whether some people go, no, it can't possibly happen. You're like, no, it is.
Yeah,
no, it is. And this is why. And this is how we're going to help the kids.
Yeah.
And this is what we're going to do.
Yeah, and then in order to do that, we do a lot of program planning, but we also have to do a lot of fundraising and a lot of community relations because we depend on the community to support us and to accept what we do, which the community has been amazingly accepting of what we do. And so I'll let Erin talk a little bit about our latest effort.
Yes, you've been quiet long enough.
A little bit of money. It's her turn to talk now.
So, Erin, let's talk about this. There's something very cool coming up that where you can have some fun and help out the children's home. So what's going on?
So we're hosting our second annual Run for Home 5K on August 30th on the Dutchess County Rail Trail. It starts at the Van Wyck Lane and Lake Walton Road entrance. It's a 5K. All are willing to, able to participate. We'll have the 5K starting at 8:45. Before that, at 8 o'clock, we're doing a kids 1 mile race for kids ages 4 to 12. If you pre-register for the kids 1 mile, it's free. If you register the day of the event, it's $10. The 5K is $25 pre-registered and $35 the day of the race. We're going to have age group awards. We have water stops, children's activities. The Junior League's actually going to be coming out and doing face painting and balloon animals with us. We have coloring and all kinds of fun things with them. There'll be a few vendors, refreshments, all kinds of good stuff going on. It's a great family event.
So this is the second annual.
Second annual.
So I'm going to go on a limb and say, since you're doing it again, the first one went pretty well. You're pretty happy with it.
It was a lot of fun. It was my first time ever putting together a 5K, so I was a little apprehensive, but once it all came together, it was just an amazing community family event. Mm-hmm. Our kids were able to participate in the race. There's a real interest on our campus for running with the kids. We have a couple staff that are into running, so they help the kids, participate in different 5Ks around the community, and it was just a great way to really take something the kids were involved and interested in and bring it home. And, we came up with this cool name, Run for Home, come out and support the children's home. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of fun. And we'll be done by 11 a.m. and you can go about your Sunday, after you've done something great for the community.
Plus the rail trail is just beautiful.
Yeah, we did. This is our first year on the rail trail, but it's shaded and beautiful and they've been amazing to work with. And it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's very cool. So the registration is $25?
$25 pre-registered.
Pre-registered.
Yep.
It will go up if you wait till the end, right? If you get the day of.
The day of, it's $35. Okay. So when you
just sign up now.
Yeah, sign up now.
Just sign up now, and you just save yourself that.
If you pre-register, you get a T-shirt too.
Okay, see, there's always a plus. I knew there would be an extra. There would be something there. Now, what about for folks like myself, where running really isn't an option right now with my legs are not really cooperating all that well.
Walkers are welcome for sure. And we definitely need cheerleaders.
Okay.
People love that. It's just a great, bring out a friend that might want to run or walk. It's the rail trail, so it's paved. If you want to bring your child in a stroller, that's totally welcome. I mean, it was really a great day with a lot of different kinds of people participating, runners, walkers, babies, all kinds of things.
Now, can folks donate, or do you, I'm sure that you have sponsors we'll talk about, but is there a way that if someone says, look, I can't be there, but I'd like to give some money towards this, is there a way that they can do that?
Well, we're always going to take donations. There's no to that one.
I'm always going to ask that question.
Yeah, we, we'll be doing some fun door prize giveaway types of things. So if you had a gift certificate you wanted to donate or a cool item you thought we might want to use, that would be great. You could sign up and, give your registration to somebody else if that was something you were interested in doing. Oh,
that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a nice idea. I like that. So you can donate and then give. That's a great idea. Definitely. I like that.
And then we have some great sponsors. Focused Wealth Management came in at a platinum sponsor this year, which is great for us. We have a few gold sponsors, Designed by MGC, Poughkeepsie CrossFit, Red Hook Tees, and TLC Pediatrics. So we're really excited.
I always say this whenever I'm fortunate enough if I ever MC an event or if I'm ever out any place or I just go and I'm in the audience, I always say to anybody at my table or from the podium to take a look at the businesses in the community that sponsor the events. Yeah. Because these are the organizations that, yes, while they are in the business to make money, they are giving money back to the community in which they operate. And to me, that is very powerful. Those are the places I'm going to go to first.
And that's what we always say. We look at our list of sponsors and donors and try to do business with them if you can, because they're supporting the children's home, but they're supporting the community too. So.
Yes, absolutely. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, whatever station you're listening to, head to that station's website because I'll have this will be up as a video, an audio video, so to speak, which isn't really the right term, but I think that's the best I've got. And also there will be an article around it, and there will be links. So there'll be links to the Run for Home page. So you can take a look at the sponsors. You can pre-register. You get yourself signed up. You can make a donation. All of that will be right there at your fingertips right now as you're listening. So I didn't mean to interrupt, but I wanted to kind of make sure that everybody knew that. So this is coming up on April 30th. August 30th. I'm April. Well, I'm going backwards
You're really
in this year.
shooting through the year, aren't you?
I'm going backwards. It began with an A. Don't I get points for that?
Credit,
Okay.
yeah.
So I think because my next question was, after this event in August, what's coming up? Like, I know you may not have all the final details, but what's on the way next for the children's home? So people can kind of go, oh, I should keep that in mind. I should remember that.
For community events, we will be doing our annual Teachers' Tea in October, where we invite teachers and superintendents, school personnel into the children's home for tea and cookies. The kids write essays about a teacher that's made a difference in their life or an educator. A few essays are selected. The kids read them at the event, and then we give gold stars to those teachers. And our board is there, and they're serving the cookies and tea on the china and the silver, and it's just an amazing event. Our gym's all decked out for Halloween, which is a huge event at the children's home. So that's that's on the horizon for us. Before that, it's the start of school, which is always a crazy time. Some people send 1, 2, or 3 kids to the first day of school. We might be sending 65 kids to the first day of school.
So school supplies would be good.
Yeah, we
School
love
supplies
school
are always
supplies,
good.
book bags.
We can help with that. Okay. All
That's
right.
great.
Okay, hang on. So you're right. The way you said that, most people are sending 1, maybe 2 kids. You guys are sending 65 children first day of school.
Correct.
Maybe more.
And all different,
maybe more.
in 9 or 10 schools.
Yeah, and the supply lists are kind of crazy. I mean, they're important, but they're a little crazy.
Yeah, we do get some support from some organizations on school supplies that happens every year. So
Yeah, and book bags are always, in need, but we've definitely had a lot of great community support for school supplies and book bags. Even back to school clothes, gently used or brand new. It's just it's a team effort, definitely.
Well, that to me is a nice kind of a family thing to do. If you're going to go with your kids and you're going to go school shopping, then keep in mind maybe another little girl, another little boy, another young man, another young woman, because there's varying ages, obviously.
yes,
and think about what they would like, and then pick up another one, and then, call the children's home, right, and make arrangements to drop it off. I mean, to me, that's a nice thing to do when you go to the store. I mean, because right now the sale prices are about to hit, so you're going to be able to save some serious cash. And to me, it would be easy to be able to pick up a few more. You don't have to do the whole thing, just a few.
right.
Right.
And people
really
may
help.
not realize that our kids all go to the public schools.
Yes.
And I used to say there was only one other agency in New York that does that, but there are 3 of us. I met an executive director from an agency mid-state. They send their kids into the public school because most residential programs like ours, all of the kids are on the campus in a campus-based school, and they're somewhat isolated from the community.
Right.
So for us, because our kids go in the community, we started doing this back in 1923. They have to look like their peers. They
Right.
cannot be cookie cutter outfits or anything like that, and so our kids get to do a little styling, and they go and get the things they like. We have a couple of people who shop very regularly with them, and their staff will take them. Mm-hmm. And they have a pretty free hand, a prudent parent free hand,
Right.
to to dress the way they'd like to. So it's an interesting time of year for them.
Very cool. I think I've said this before, but my husband, he is from here. I'm from Pittsburgh. He is from here, and the bus would stop at the children's home in Poughkeepsie and pick up the kids, and that's who he went to school with.
Yeah.
And to him, that was he still says to this day that was one of the things where it felt like the home was part of the community because you knew the kids. They were your neighbors. They lived right down the road.
Right.
I realized their home was the children's home, but they were still there. You knew them. You saw them in school. You had the same teachers. You had the same headache over the same homework, everything else.
A
And
very normalizing experience.
Yes.
And then, all of our kids, our goal is to get our kids out of the children's home and to get them home, to get them either their home or a foster home or something like that. And they're going to go to a public school most likely when they do that. So it's important for them to be going to a public school and to know how to do it, to know what's expected.
Exactly. Speaking of that, something we talked about a little bit before the microphones were on, and one thing you wanted to talk about, which I was like, oh, that makes so much sense, is as the children get older and are ready to go out on their own, looking for the first job, that's not always the easiest to do for anybody, but you guys are addressing that as well.
Yeah, it's a very challenging time. Over the last, probably since 2008, since the Great Recession, a lot of those jobs that we probably all had as kids have evaporated.
Yeah.
And so we've had more and more difficulty in finding those little part-time jobs that kids go to learn how to be an employee. And there's been some real challenges to that. We have been very lucky in that we received a bequest from a friend who gave us the proceeds. They passed away, and they gave us the proceeds of the sale of their house and targeted a jobs program for kids. So we had a little bit of money there, and we got a grant from a foundation, the Gimbels Foundation, which I don't believe it's Gimbels and Macy's Gimbels, out in California. And they gave us a $25,000 grant, and we're using that money to partially fund an independent living skills coordinator and a job coach. Because one of the things we found out was our kids, they have some difficulty relating to a workplace. These kids they've all been traumatized. They've been removed from their families. A lot of them have issues with authority. They're just not used to doing what they're told to do. It's one of the things they have to learn how to do. Not all of them, because kids who have jobs are pretty delighted. But we want the job coach to go to their job site every day and just touch base with the employer and with them and see if everything is going well. So that program just started a few months ago. And we have some local businesses who have taken our kids on as employees. And they're more like paid internships at their businesses because we are paying them with this grant money.
Gotcha.
We did try to do something a little bit more creative, but it turned out to be too complicated in terms of funding, because we wanted the employers to pay them out of their payroll. We thought it would be more real for kids.
To see the paycheck and
see the
name.
paycheck with the name of where you were working, but it turned out to be very complicated in terms of their business records for them to pay and then for us to reimburse them. And so we're back to a paid internship. But if there's a business out there that would like to take us up on something like this, that we are supporting 100% of the cost for the first 3 months and then a declining amount as time goes on. So, an employer can get a potential good employee at almost no cost.
Right.
And have an opportunity to work with a youngster and see whether they would, they might be interested in having that young person remain on. Because, we served kids up until the age of 21. So we can have a youngster graduate from high school, go into a supervised independent living apartment that we take care of, we fund, and work at a local firm and become a productive member of society.
Right. So
we're very interested in helping these kids with their job skills. We think it's so important. But I'll tell you a sort of a little anecdote which occurred to me on how difficult it is to find these jobs. I've been at the children's home now 15 and a half years. And I went to a nearby McDonald's probably on my first day and got an a sausage egg biscuit, which I really like, and it's a great breakfast.
It is a good breakfast.
It is. And the two of the people who waited on me are still there 15 years later. Mm-hmm. So, the McDonald's jobs and those food service jobs are careers now for some people.
Right.
And not just a transitional. There's a lot of kids who move through them, but there's a core of workers at this particular McDonald's who have been there forever.
Well, my husband even said, like you said, back in 2008, there were jobs that kids could learn how to be an employee, but aren't there anymore because other individuals have started. Like my husband mentioned, lawn. You could go through the neighborhood and like, can I cut your lawn? Can I cut your lawn? Well, now there's lawn services, and they were started by individuals who had lost their job during this time, and it was like, okay, we can do this. I can get this. We get a client base. So that job that used to be for kids is no longer for kids. It's a business. It's a big company or a mom and pop shop, but still they're not going to hire a teenager. And that's a shame because you don't learn how to be an employee. And then you are going to spend time having to learn how to be an employee.
Yeah.
And in that time, the company may not have that patience to see what kind of an employee you become. To me, that's amazing that for the kids in the program, 100% of the first 3 months is paid.
Yeah.
An employer is getting someone who's going to understand, train, know it. There's no risk for them.
And we are screening the kids very carefully and sending the job coach in to be a liaison with the employer and to work out any issues that may come up.
Yeah,
and
you've got a great
we think
chance.
It's a great deal.
Yes. You've got someone, most of all of the work has been done for you.
Yeah.
As an employer, of all the, like you said, the screenings, the looking, you go with the gut feeling, you have them for an interview. How does it work? You check your references. All that's been done.
Yeah, and we're very careful about the kids who participate in that program. They have
to
be safe
successful.
in the community.
Yeah.
Well, and they have to be, kids who are safe being out at a job site by themselves, or at an employment place. So, but we think if these kids don't learn how to go to work, this is really a problem. It'll be a lifelong problem for them.
Yes.
I agree. And they're at an age where they can experiment a little bit, and they can make their mistakes, and maybe they'll get fired from a couple of these jobs, and they'll learn something. So by the time
we all did,
well, exactly. I mean, that's the name of the game, right?
We all did. We went, okay, don't ever do that again. Okay,
yeah.
Note to self.
Oh, I have
don't
to do
that.
I have to do what the boss tells
Yeah.
me. That's a revelation,
Oh, I did get called into the office,
Yeah.
didn't I? Okay, we're going to move on. I won't share any of my personal stories, but trust me, they're there.
Yeah.
But that's how we all learn. It's not making the mistake. It's what you do with it. Right. So
very difficult now, though, because those jobs really are much less available than they once were. Yeah. I mean, for every kid, all kids in the community, the unemployment rate for teenagers is very high.
Mm-hmm. But you're right. It's if as an industry and as a society, if you don't have, for lack of a better word, a farm system, someone like the baseball, you have a farm system. Someone retires, someone moves on, someone gets injured, whatever, then you bring somebody up. Right. You've got to constantly have people there. And there are industries that don't do that, and you're going to hurt yourself because what are you going to do?
Well, we think this is a great opportunity for an employer.
I think it's great
to do two things: to get some free help at their work site, but also to help train a youngster to be a good employee in the future and a productive citizen. So we think it's a win-win, total win-win.
Now, who should they call to inquire about that? If
they want to inquire about that program, I would say to call and ask for Kelly Barton at the Children's Home. Okay. She's the assistant executive director, and the independent living and job coach program falls under her. Okay. And so that would be the great place. And she's a very task-oriented person, so she will make sure that the right people get in touch with the employer.
And the phone number
is 452-1420, and they should ask the receptionist for Kelly, and they will connect her.
But that's the main phone number for anything that we're talking about
anybody
today.
Who wanted to call the Children's Home and talk to Erin or talk to me, that's the number, 452-1420.
Okay. Boy, as always, every time you guys are here, there's new programs. You're talking about what is going on in society. What do children need? The fact that earlier you mentioned about the undocumented, unaccompanied minors, excuse me. And that program is now phasing out. So that's going to be phased out. And then you're looking at this, and then you're looking at the trafficking. And you're like, well, how do we help this? How do we address that?
The unmet need.
Exactly. And then again, an example with the kids in jobs, and how do you get there? Looking that it's hard for everybody. And your kids, some may need a little extra help than others because of everything that they have been through. And you're addressing that. And there's a program there. So as I often say, not only do you take a look at the sponsors that sponsor a local organization and you go there, but to me, if you have a little bit of money to be able to donate or time or to spread the word or to go on Facebook and you share a post, these are the posts that ought to be shared. We all like the funny picture, but to me, if you could share a post of the Children's Home, if you could share the link to the Run for Home, then you are doing something to help spread the word and get that out and get folks to know all that's being done at the Children's Home and how to help.
Yeah, and it's an amazing community. I mean, you mentioned the business community earlier. I think this is an incredible business community here in Dutchess County, very connected to the nonprofit sector. And I know employers get approached by lots of people to sponsor, and they've been very, very good to us and to other organizations. I mean, we all have our sort of folks who sponsor one cause or another, have an interest in one cause or another.
Right. But they're there. They're there.
They are there. There's no question.
They're there. So believe it or not, we've run out of time.
I'm shocked.
I know you are. I can tell. I'm looking going, oh, wait, hang on a second. So we have a couple of minutes. So Erin, some closing comments, some final thoughts you'd like to leave with folks this morning.
I just want to encourage everybody to sign up for the Run for Home 5K. It's just a great way to learn a little bit about the Children's Home, do something fun, do something good for the community, and we look forward to seeing everybody there. Beautiful.
Walt, any closing comments?
Well, I would just encourage people to stay in touch with what we're doing, to look on Facebook. We're active on Facebook. I do want to mention that Teresa Karen, who I know many of the listeners know, is retiring from the Children's Home after she calls it her 9-year retirement job. And Erin will be taking over the department.
Congratulations.
So she's getting a nice promotion. She's done a super job. So for Teresa's friends, we're going to, they should wish her well. I think she's looking forward to really having a retirement this time.
Not just a retirement job to kind of retire.
She'll probably go find another job. Active people stay active. They can't help themselves.
Well, the best of luck to Teresa. She's been great. I've known her from a Spanish class at Dutchess Community College, which is where we first met. And I'm like a bad penny. She just can't seem to get rid of me.
So she's done a super job for the Children's Home. Yeah. She really established our development department. We didn't have one before she came on board. The board really did everything. And so she's done a terrific job leading that department and I think raising our profile. I used to call us the best kept secret in Dutchess County. In some ways, I think we sort of still are a secret. I don't think people understand, or a lot of people don't know how complex we are, how many different programs we operate. But we're right here in the community. We've been here for 168 years, and we're very grateful for the acceptance we've got as we've tried to take care of the children and the families of Dutchess County and the surrounding area.
Which is a great thing. So we say thank you. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Thank you for all the work that you guys are doing and continuing that at the Children's Home Poughkeepsie. And also thanks for being here. And you will be back. So we'll just say that right now. You will be back.
We'll be back. We'd love to come and talk to you.
We'll be back because you guys really are addressing the needs. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You're not like, well, we think maybe, we're not really sure. That program ended 2 years ago? We didn't do that. No, that's not what you guys do. No. So Erin and Walt, thank you very, very much.
Thanks, you, Beth.
Absolutely. And thanks to you guys. If you want to be on the program to talk about issues, then please call me 845-471-1500, extension 159. My email, beth.christy@townsquaremedia.com. You can find me on Facebook at Beth Christy. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram and Pinterest and all of those. So just reach out to me. We'd love to have you on the show. Take care of yourself and those you love. And we'll see you right here next week.